Sometimes the moments that change our lives forever don't come with warning signs. They arrived quietly, disguised as ordinary mornings, disguised as routine. That's how it was for Jenna Bush Hager, the woman who made millions smile every day on the Today Show. The daughter of a president, the mother, the wife, the storyteller, the warm, radiant soul who felt like family to everyone watching from home. But on one morning that began like any other, her voice trembled, her eyes glistened, her co-hosts looked on in silence, and America listened as Jenna Bush Hager announced she was leaving. No one expected it. No one wanted to believe it. How could the woman who filled our mornings with laughter, compassion, and heart just walk away so suddenly, so quietly? For viewers, it felt personal. Jenna wasn't just a host. She was the familiar face that made life feel a little warmer. She was the one who told stories like they mattered, because they did. And now she was gone. But behind that calm smile, behind the soft-spoken farewell, there was a story few knew. A story not of fame or career, but of loss, exhaustion, and rediscovery. A story of a woman who had given everything until she realized she had nothing left to give herself. From the moment Jenna was born, the spotlight followed. As the daughter of President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush, she was never far from the public eye. Every mistake, every milestone, magnified, analyzed, and broadcast to the world. But even under that weight, she built her own identity as a writer, a teacher, and later a voice of authenticity in the media. She was more than the daughter of a president. She was Jenna, open, genuine, human. But fame has its quiet price, and over time, that weight began to crush her from the inside. Her grandmother, the late Barbara Bush, had always been her compass, her mentor, her light. When Barbara passed away, a part of Jenna's world dimmed. Her laughter on screen still sparkled, but privately her heart carried an ache that no one could see. Barbara's wisdom had always reminded her to cherish what truly matters. But in the rush of deadlines, cameras, and expectations, Jenna realized she was drifting further from that truth. Nights grew longer. Mornings felt heavier. She missed bedtime stories, missed first steps, missed quiet breakfasts with her husband Henry and their children, Mila, Poppy, and little Hal. The guilt of motherhood, the ache of being everywhere yet nowhere, began to consume her. Friends said she smiled through exhaustion. Even Henry would gently whisper to her, "Slow down." But slowing down wasn't easy. Not for someone who had always pushed through the pain. Then one night, after another long day at work, Jenna sat at her dinner table. Her children laughed about something simple, and in that laughter, she realized how much she'd missed. In that instant, she knew something had to change. She didn't want to look back one day and wonder where her life had gone. She didn't want her children to remember her as the mom who was always busy, but as the mom who was present. So she made a choice. The hardest, bravest choice of all. When Jenna told her family she was leaving the Today Show, there were tears. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of peace. Her children smiled through them, realizing they'd be getting their mom back. The woman who would now have time for morning pancakes, for story time, for walks in the park. Moments that don't make headlines, but make a life. When she finally announced it to the world, her co-host Hoda Kotb sat beside her, holding back her own tears. The two women had shared laughter, heartbreak, and countless memories on screen. And now they shared silence. A silence filled with respect, admiration, and love. Hoda said, "Take the time you need, Jenna. You've given us all so much." The world listened, not with disappointment, but with understanding. Because in her decision, so many saw themselves. the working mother, the overwhelmed woman, the person longing to breathe again. Jenna's departure was more than a career move. It was a reclamation, a reminder that success means nothing without peace, that the truest form of courage is choosing yourself in a world that constantly demands more. Today, Jenna Bush Hager stands at a new beginning. She's not disappearing, she's transforming. She continues to write, to speak, to share her heart through the stories that matter most. And perhaps she's finally living the kind of story she always wanted to tell. This chapter isn't about goodbye, it's about rediscovery. It's about realizing that love, family, and time, those are the real treasures. Jenna's decision echoes far beyond television screens. It's a message to every person who's ever felt stretched too thin, who has ever sacrificed themselves for everyone else. You can always begin again. You can choose peace. You can choose to come home. And as we look back on the mornings she filled with joy, we can only thank her, not just for the stories she shared, but for the one she's now living, a story of strength, of grace, of a woman who remembered what truly matters and had the courage to follow her heart. So wherever you are, whatever your own journey looks like, maybe Jenna's story can be your reminder too, that it's never too late to slow down, to breathe, and to choose yourself again.